Well, hello everyone. Thank you for joining in for another episode of, or should I say, series video for I Believe in Transparency Tuesday. And every Tuesday I come into your home and I share great valuable information and we talk about all things domestic and sexual violence. Well, today is going to be the same. Today I'm going to talk to you all about the power and control wheel. And now this power and control wheel, when it comes to dating, in relationships dealing with domestic and sexual violence. Today we're going to focus more on, we're going to talk about both on today because both of them does have a part to play in this in terms of that, but also you can deal with this type of treatment in a relationship and in a dating relationship and in a marriage. Okay, so I want to share this information with you all, and I hope that nobody out there happens to find themselves in this situation, but if you do, at least now you have a better understanding about what you're actually dealing with in your relationship and why you're even dealing with these things in your relationship, these type of behaviors or treatments, okay, in your relationship. So I want to just kind of share this with you all so that way, like I said, you have a clear understanding about what it is when you're in an intimate relationship and you're dealing with these forms that I'm going to share with you, okay? So let's see, let me go ahead and get my glasses on so I can read. Okay, so now we're talking about in terms of the power and control wheel. So now when we talk about domestic and sexual violence, I'm going to touch on all of that today, okay? It's going to kind of break it down into different parts of this wheel, different pie pieces of this wheel, and I'm going to share some information with you. So when we talk about the power and control, so what is domestic violence? Domestic violence is, and this can be, I'm going to give you a general definition of it. So it's when it's a pattern of abuse that one person, now let me change this again. So domestic violence is separate from intimate partner violence. Those are two different forms of violence or abuse that an individual can deal with. Okay, so when we talk about specifically domestic violence, that means that's a family member, friend, someone that you live with, a neighbor. That's what that domestic violence is. Now, when I'm talking on here, I'm always talking about, unless I say specifically it's about a different form of abuse, I'm always referring to intimate partner abuse. You will hear domestic violence, you will hear domestic abuse, you will hear me say intimate partner violence, intimate partner abuse. All of those four different titles of what I just shared with you can be all interchanged, okay? And you can use them interchangeably, okay? But when we talk about on this particular show and the other ones, it's always about intimate partner violence, okay? Intimate partner abuse. So it's in a relationship is what I'm always talking about, whether you're dating or married, okay? It could be same-sex relationship. It could be friends with benefits. Anybody that you're intimate with, that's what we talk about on here, okay? So now with that being said, let me give you the definition of it. So it's a pattern of abuse that is displayed by one person in this relationship to another person. This person, he or she, because we know men and women can be abusers and survivors. This particular person is impacting this other person's life on a consistent basis, okay? And the reason for them doing this is to maintain power and control over that other individual, okay? So that's what it is. It's all about power and control that they can have over that other individual. Same thing with sexual violence in a relationship. It's because, and even if when we talk about rape, and we'll talk about that later on in another video specifically for that, but any form of sexual violence that happens to an individual, it is not just for the sex. Don't think that that's the main reason why that person is doing that. They're doing that in order to maintain or gain power over that individual, to let them know, I have power over you. I can do whatever I want to do with you. I can treat you any kind of way. You're my property. I have control over you. That is the main focus of why they do that. Are they maybe enjoying the act of sex? Yes, they are. But the main reason is power and control, okay? So now with that being said, let's go ahead and let's just touch on sexual abuse in a relationship. It's bragging about your sexual relationship. Now this is abuse that this person is doing. This is mental, emotional, psychological abuse. They are comparing you to their partner and telling you you're not good, better than this person. This person was better than you. You don't do this better. All of this comparing is to break you, is to make you feel bad about the way that you're expressing your love to this individual. To them, it's not enough. It's not exactly what they're looking for, and they're comparing you to their past relationships, okay? Flirting to make your partner jealous. So if they're flirting with someone that you know, and they're doing these types of things, it's all to make you jealous, to hurt you, to make you feel bad, to basically break you, okay? Using drugs or alcohol to get sex, okay? So if you're a person that's using drugs, then they'll say, well, hey, the only way you can get some is if you sleep with me, okay? That's a form of it too. Pressuring your partner to have sex, and it can also lead for them to rape you, because they feel like, where we're in a relationship, your body belongs to me. I want to have sex. You don't want to have sex, but you belong to me. And if you don't, then they'll force you to have sex with them, okay? And for that person that is on the receiving end, for them, they feel violated. They feel as though they're being raped, okay? But the perpetrator doesn't feel that way. It's like, you belong to me. I can do whatever I want to do with you, okay? So let's go on to the next one. So the next one would be the physical abuse. So we've already kind of talked about that. So let's just touch on that again. So that's in terms of holding the person, not allowing them to leave. It's slamming them into the wall, locking them into a room. It would be hurting that person, causing bruises over their body, facial, and even if you can't see it, it can be, hid. It could be on their back. It could be on their chest or their stomach, legs, areas that maybe not be visible, but you know that they're there. It can also be in terms of grabbing that person, slapping, hitting, spitting on that person, punching, kicking, any form of physical abuse that you can think of. I've even met individuals that have been burned by lighters and cigarettes, as a result of a perpetrator that they were in that relationship with. So these things really do happen. You may not think that they do, but these things are happening. These different acts that are impacting other people's lives are definitely happening, okay? So now we're going to talk about intimidation. That's another form. So now if a person is, has already said, in my past, my parents used to yell at me or scream at me or holler at me. I've dealt with this before. These were things that happened to me growing up as a child, or maybe in a past relationship I dealt with this. And then you get into a relationship with another person, and this person is yelling and screaming and cursing and doing all of the exact same things of what you told them that was happening to you before, that was hurtful for you. And then guess what? Now they're doing that. They're doing that as a way to intimidate you, to make you feel, to trigger you, to make you feel just like you felt like in before, whether it be as a child or in that past relationship. This is the reason why they're doing that, is for power and control, okay? Using a threatening tone as they're talking to you, okay? Making you feel inferior to that individual, talking down to you, saying negative things to you, threaten to hurt you, or maybe hurting themselves if you don't be in compliance with what they're saying. That's intimidation. They're not going to actually do that, but this is what even if they do, that still is not your responsibility. If they tell you this is what they're going to do and they go and hurt themselves, that is not your responsibility for you to stay in that relationship based on that person saying, if you leave, this is what I'm going to do, okay? So they have to be responsible for themselves. You can't be responsible for another adult, okay? They will also threaten to do harm to the children because of the fact that they want to intimidate you and make you do what they want you to do. They will tear up items that belong to you, pictures or, clothing that you may have, or something that you may have bought, or a gift that was given to you. Maybe they gave you the gift, and they'll tear it up in order to intimidate you, to make you feel like, okay, well, I have to do what they're telling me to do. Okay, so these are just some different types of acts that individuals will do. Now, I wanted to just kind of jump on here and share this information with you guys. For those of you that don't know, I've shared, pretty much about my past. I'm a survivor of domestic violence. I didn't deal with, my life wasn't impacted with physical, verbal, and sexual. But it still doesn't mean that I didn't deal with domestic violence or deal with different forms of abuse. I did. It was mental, emotional, psychological. I was threatened of, getting a divorce if you don't be in compliance with this, or just dealing with a lot of spiritual abuse. It was a lot of different things. I stayed depressed the majority of the years that we were together, for 16 years in that marriage, just dealing with a lot of different things, afraid to talk, because if you did say something and it was brought back, where if you don't agree, we might as well just get a divorce. It was always threatening. If you don't do, this is what's going to happen. So it was a lot of different things that I experienced as I was in this relationship. And even in the relationship before then, I have another daughter, an older daughter, and have two different dads. And so I have two children. I mean, and they have two different dads. So even with the first one, I dealt with emotional abuse. Didn't realize that until later on down the line, till years later. And then I looked back and I was like, okay, you know, all the arguing and, you know, him staying out late and me suspecting he was cheating, and he was cheating, and, you know, just dealing with a lot of that emotional, mental, and psychological issues that were going on that I felt within myself, and feeling, you know, insecure in the relationship. And, you know, then eventually I found out he was cheating on me, you know, as we went on, and I was 8.5 months pregnant. So you figure there was a lot of different things that was going on. I stayed depressed throughout throughout my pregnancy, and, you know, within the relationship, it was a lot of things that were going on, but not knowing that these were also forms of abuse that I dealt with, you know, being threatened that we're going to break up because of, you know, the arguing, or maybe I mentioned about, hey, I think you're doing something wrong. Well, why don't we just break up? You know, a lot of that mental and emotional impact that happened to me in both of those relationships. So years later, I look back and, you know, after going through my training, I'm like, wow, these were the things that I dealt with. So I want to just kind of be candid as much as I can and share this information with you all in order to help you to understand just how damaging words that have been said to you, statements that have been said to you, how you felt in those relationships, going through depression, dealing with anxiety, dealing with stress, you know, dealing with PTSD. All of these are different forms that can have, these are representation of abuse that you've dealt with in relationships, or what you've dealt with maybe through the years from previous relationships, or maybe even from growing up in an environment and it was unhealthy, you know, and then you bring those views or your perception into that relationship, or how you feel into that relationship, and then you're dealing with a whole lot because you're still unhealthy and you're attracting these people into your life. So the way to break that cycle is to heal, is to get yourself better, so that you're not continuing to bring, you know, to meet the same type of people and bring those individuals into your life. You don't want to keep attracting the same type of people. But if you're not healthy, if you're not going through a form of healing, if you're not going to get some therapy, you're going to attract the same exact individuals into your life. And so I want to help you break that cycle, okay? I want to help you break the cycle. I want to help you break the cycle for yourself and also for your children, boys and girls. You still need to break that cycle. So in order to do that, continue to keep watching the videos that I'm going to post throughout the rest of this month. Every Tuesday and Friday, just keep watching out for videos that I'm going to post on here. That's going to be a blessing to you. Going to share a lot of information in order to help you get out of those abusive environments, help you get out of those unhealthy relationships, break those cycles that have been there, you know, generational cycles that have been there. If you've experienced that as a child and you continued on because that's what you saw your parents deal with, other family members, we're going to talk about all of those different things of how can you break those cycles, okay? So I want you to join in with me every Tuesday at 7 o'clock, excuse me. We're going to talk about that at 7 on here. I'm going to share a video with you. And then on Fridays, I'm going to share a video with you guys on Fridays where we're going to talk about it as well. And so join me this Friday because I'm going to be talking about a topic that is dear to my heart. It's something that I did for a number of years and didn't really look at it as that's what I was doing, but we're going to talk about body shaming. So join me on this Friday at 7. I'm going to share with you a short video. We're going to talk about body shaming. Okay, I'm just going to share with you how and what I went through in terms of with my life. And so hopefully it'll be a blessing to you all as it has been a blessing to me. So with that being said, I'm going to share a lot of resources into the feed of this video. Please use the resources if you need. If you need to reach out to me, please send me a direct message as well. And I'll be more than willing to help you and sit and talk with you and try to help you sort out a lot of things that's going on in your life, okay? So with that being said, you guys have a great rest of your evening. Stay focused. Continue to love on yourself, to continue to practice self-love, and to continue to live your life transparent and unashamed. And with that being said, you have a great night. Bye-bye.